Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of The Flank. I'm joined by the 20-time champion, the 2-time world champion, Mr. Patrick Price, aka Aches, and we're joined by another multi-champion, another world champion, another staple to the scene, Chris Duarte, aka Parasite. Gentlemen, how we feeling, man? I haven't even talked to you guys. See, even when the tournament ended, we didn't run an episode together. We did things a little bit different that Sunday night. How you guys feeling, man? Good. Can't complain. Oh yeah, how's Extra Fine going, Pat? How's everything going over there?
It's going good. You know, Tom, same thing every week, just grinding it out. Got our insider sessions on Friday, but yeah, things are going good, man. How about you? How you been?
Bro,
you're on a vacation, right?
I had to drive down to San Diego because there was a wedding over there. One of Michaela's friends got married, so we figured we'd make a little trip out of it. So we drove up on Thursday or Friday. We stayed like 2 days. We stayed 2 nights. We drove up. We went to bed. Woke up. We went to the wedding, and then we drove up this morning. I took a little nap, and we're back to the grind. You know what I'm saying, Pat? No days off over here. Whenever I got free time, the stream's up. So it was nice, man. The wedding was nice. San Diego was beautiful. You guys ever been? You guys ever been to San Diego?
Yeah, I've been twice. It's really nice.
Very nice.
I'm a California resident, but I've never been there.
Really? You live in California? You never been to San Diego?
Nope.
Man.
Never for like leisure or anything like that. I drove by on the way to like Mexico, but never to like actually stay there.
Yeah, no. It's very close to Mexico, is it not? Isn't it like 20 minutes from Mexico or something?
Yeah, it's like on the border. You can like
Close.
San Diego
because
and like Tijuana
I know people who live in San Diego. Whenever they do gambling streams, they drive to Mexico, which is like they'll just drive like 20 minutes down the road and they'll get like a hotel or some shit and stream from the laptop, which I thought was a little interesting. But Chris, what about you? How you doing? You having a good week or what?
Yeah, dude, chill. Just started doing a little bit of COD stuff. I've been trying to get like some COD content into my stream and stuff. So yesterday I joined Don and we actually watched the Challengers Elite qualifier.
Hell yeah, bro.
It was actually pretty lit, dude. There was some upsets and some surprise qualifications from my
I heard Clay's team got double reverse swept.
Oh my God, is that what happened? What happened with them, Chris? Did they fall apart?
Yeah, they got the whole reverse swept, bro. They dude, last map, I think the qualifying map versus Pentagram's team, the last match of the night. I think Johnny dropped like almost 20 kills for the loss.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Wait, did you see did you see the DM Clay tweeted like that somebody said that Johnny basically got shit on so bad on land, we're gonna need him to monitor and control their cam.
Jesus! Oh, I saw that. Clay got pissed about that.
Yeah.
So what was that all about? Because he got pissed on land, they thought he was cheating online, so they wanted him to monitor cam.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he got pissed on land. I mean, they placed.
I asked, and I was interested, so I want to do a little investigation. So I hit up some sources, and I was told that Johnny had a hard 0.5 on land.
Didn't he drive? Didn't he drive 9 hours though and hop on the setup as soon as he got there?
I don't know what happened.
I'm pretty sure this guy drove up all the way from Jersey. I'm pretty sure he drove up all the way from Jersey 9 hours because his flight was all fucked up and hopped on the setup, hopped on the station just in time before they got forfeit. No warm up, no nothing. Got right into it. But it sounds like he struggled a little bit if he had a 0.5 all weekend. But what are you gonna do?
Team still got top 6 though, so
that's all that really matters, man. That's all that really matters. That for me, it's hard to look at stats because we didn't get to watch a lot of those matches. You guys know me. Yeah. I don't like to look at stats unless I watch the games. I need to be able to compare a stat sheet to what I saw.
But Tom, besides Clay's team and Nick's team, notable teams with some former pros on there. We actually had a surprise qualification. We had a Latin American team qualify for the Challengers Elite in North America, which was they had an impressive run, dude. I think they beat Doug's team and knocked them out, and they also beat Exotic's team. So they had a pretty good run, and it was actually a lot of fun. Me and Donnie were gassing up one of the players on their team named I think Treyx. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, he was frying, dude.
It's cool too.
They moved to the US, right?
Two of them moved to the US. The other two already, I think, lived here, like Texas area. I could be wrong, but like they're a LAM team. They were like a pickup team at 1.2. Like they just like kind of like tried to like get something together.
And they got hyped as fuck. Let's tune in to a quick listen in with the Spanish team after they won their match and qualified. These guys were going fucking nuts. Excuse the guy's language. He goes a little crazy here, but who gives a fuck? Let's tune in.
Tiempo. Entra. Ahí está más clases.
Dale. ¡Dale, la puta madre! Holy shit.
all Spanish. I think 2 of them are Mexican, 1 of them's from Argentina, and the other one is from Chile. Yeah, Chile. So.
Jesus. All right, here, I'm going to pause it there.
That was their qualifying match, yeah.
Sorry, did I insult them? I didn't mean to insult them. I thought they were Spanish. Good. So what are they? So they're not Spanish. Who are they?
2 of them are Mexican, I believe. Right. Okay. And 1 of them is from Chile, and the other one is from Argentina.
Oh, okay. Okay, I apologize.
The one in the clip was Argentinian.
Nice. Vamos. Everybody's saying vamos in the chat. I'm happy for him, man. It's really cool to see people from all over the world just, making a name for themselves. And even for me, my bad for saying Spanish. I just didn't. I thought they were speaking Spanish.
You're good, bro.
I thought puto madre was Spanish.
Puta madre is
it is Spanish. Oh, okay. That was the only thing I understood. And then he said tiempo, which means time, right? He said at the end of that hard point, he said tiempo. I thought it was, but what are you gonna do? Good job out of them. Congratulations to them. Anything else going on in challenges, Chris? Anything else that was going on? I saw Nicole and Pristini are doing their thing too. Classic and Pristini clutched up. Those guys, Pristini's been doing his thing down there. I heard Classic and Pristini at Challengers over the weekend down in Toronto at the event were destroying. I heard they were insane.
Yeah, I haven't really watched too much. I actually want to start getting back into watching more with the elite and closer to champs and like almost like how you cover the pro league and stuff like that. I might do a little bit more work down challengers and kind of try to get in and watch some more because I've been neglecting Call of Duty a little bit. Just taking a break from everything. So
that's not a bad thing to do, Chris. Sometimes it's good to take breaks.
Get involved.
And then listen, I took my glasses off and I just can't help but say something. But Jesus fucking Christ. Pat, you look fucking phenomenal. Your haircut.
I just woke up. From a nap.
Your haircut looks unbelievable, Pat. Unbelievable. Man, it took you.
I was thinking if I should wear a hat just to piss people off, even though I did the reverse sweep on Sunday and I had that's where I showed it, but I was thinking about just wearing a hat just to piss people off, see what people would say, but I didn't.
I like that, Pat. It's nice to see you, with a nice haircut, looking like $1 million. It's an absolute pleasure. And then I also anything else, Chris, in challenges before we talk about? I want to talk about some of these roster changes. There's been some rumors, right? Well, not rumors. Gizmo's coming back to the London lineup. I don't know if you guys saw that, but what are you?
I'm still kind of pissed about that, bro.
Talk to me. Why are you pissed off? Why are you mad?
3 months, I think, right now, or 2 months that he's just been gone, grinding in challengers the whole time, going to challenger lands while his teammates just been getting shit on. I don't know,
it looks fishy to me.
Yeah, still kind of is annoying to look at from a viewer perspective.
Yeah, from a viewer perspective, it's kind of weird that he's competing in challengers the entire time and then actually goes to the event too. But he had to be home for one reason or another. Granted, he probably knew he was going to be back in the London lineup, after their event. Where was it? Toronto, the last one? Yeah. Their event, Toronto. So he probably just, kept it going until he ended up getting put back on the lineup. It still kind of just looked bad. And honestly, London's not doing themselves any favors. And I get there's some probably extenuating circumstances that aren't allowing them to play with their full roster. But for a team that had so much hype, I think at the beginning of this year, as a viewer, it's kind of disappointing just to see how they haven't really progressed because of one issue or another, man. Because I was so hyped at the beginning of the year when I was like, "Yo, London's about to be hella competitive. This Afro guy's nasty. This Gizmo guy's nasty." You know
they started so strong. When the year started, I mean, everybody had him in the top 3.
They got fucking third, and then I think top. I forgot what they got at the second event, but they were playing well the whole time. Even in the qualifiers, they were literally a top 3 team.
They were doing their thing. I'm not really too sure kind of where it all fell apart. It kind of fell apart when Gizmo left. It was falling apart a little bit before he left, wasn't it? Weren't they? I could have sworn.
Well, he took 2 breaks, right? They got Paul, and then they were still doing fine, and then they let go of Paul, and then he came back and they took another break. So it was a 2-part thing.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he had family, right? He was talking about family issues and this and that, so he had to go back home. I think he just wanted to be back home and be close to home.
100%. That's what I'm saying.
And that's 100% fine. I mean, anybody who's close to family, I mean, I'm close to family. If anybody's sick or anything like that, I would definitely want to be close to home just to make sure everything's okay. And
exactly.
Just in case anybody ever needs help. you're there to help them out. So maybe he just needed some time to himself and his family to just get things situated. And now it's that time to get him back in. I saw him walking around at the event. He looked like he was in good spirits. He was having a good time. So we'll see if he has a huge impact on this London roster. You think it's going to be a big impact? You think having Gizmo come back in? You think they're going to go back to their bullshit?
Unfortunately, I don't think so. I mean, I think they just regress too far, and we're getting towards the end of the season where it's just kind of like it's a gamble if they're going to do like better or worse. They might just stay the same. I don't know if it's going to really do them any favors, but I mean, there's nothing really else they can do at this point in time, right? They just got to try their best, see if they can find their footing, and then, try to close out the season with some good results, because they've just been kind of like disappointing towards the tail end. Luckily, they have a cushion, right? Because otherwise, they could have been fucked.
That little cushion's going to help them.
Better. I feel like they'll get better, but I think it's just like a last-minute effort. I don't think they're going to reclaim that form that they had earlier on. But I think they'll be better than they are right now.
Yeah, I definitely think, they haven't been playing well. So them getting a little bit better, would definitely help them. Chris, like you said, the cushion's going to help them. There's a lot of teams like that have like that little cushion, but they've fallen off like a lot. LAG being one of them, right? LAG had a little bit of a cushion.
I think they're fucked.
Yeah, you think they're fucked, Pat? You think they're fucked?
I think they're fucked. They fell a lot, like, because of how well Seattle did and Rokkr. Rokkr had the crazy online performance. I think Rokkr will still have another really good like qualifying stage online. So I just think LAG's fucked. I don't see a way that they just are playing so bad that they would have to have like not as good as like what we talk about with New York needing to qualify, but like they gotta outperform these teams that are above them or right beside them, and I just don't see it happening. They're not gonna outperform Seattle. They're not gonna outperform Rokkr. I doubt they outperform the Thieves. Like,
and somebody said LAG has no cushion. I meant beforehand. They had a big cushion. They just haven't won a series in weeks.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest.
So their cushion went away.
At least in terms of their team progression, like fuck like their qualification, like opportunity, just from their team progression as a roster, I think them doing well and winning that tournament was not good for their team progression. Not necessarily their placement in the league and their chances of champs. I'm just talking about their team progression in terms of like how they've gotten better. That's probably the worst thing that could have happened to them, because that put like it put like a stop into like what I feel like was inevitably going to be like a drastic roster change.
Yeah.
And then they kind of just tried it, and then they got Pierce back, and then they still haven't really looked good. Granted, when Pierce got back, they still had I feel like they still had limited amounts of practice.
Yeah,
they just haven't looked good, and now it's getting to the point where it might be too late. And on top of that, although we've heard rumors from all sorts of teams, and one being confirmed with Gizmo coming back, we haven't heard shit from this team at all.
It's been quiet in that camp, really quiet. Yeah. So I wonder if they're not. I wonder if they're not changing. What do you mean they're limited?
Like, it's just Spart. Like, their only option is to bring Spart back in, right?
You don't think they can go out for some other guys, like maybe some challenger players, some young guys?
Well, I think all the like good challenger talent, not obviously not like when I say this, they're still good challenger talent, but like the best of the best challenger talent is gone in a sense where it's like
they're locked up. You're saying?
Yeah, like the Scrappies, like the Havoc, the Kismet, like those guys are all locked. Like, I just don't see a world where they make any drastic improvement.
Yeah,
I don't think it's possible.
There are good players out there, but some of them are hard to scout. For example, like European talent, like it's hard to see. It's hard to like, yeah, exactly. It's hard to scout them. And I know there's a lot of European fans out there that want to see some of these European players picked up, but the Europeans did themselves no favors at the last major tournament. I think all of the European talent and the European teams got knocked out really early at Toronto. So also it made it a lot harder for some of these players to get their shine. But besides that, in terms of challengers, there are still good players out there, but it's just like, it's too late into the season where like,
it is very late now.
Yeah. You're just taking like pretty much like pretty blind risks at this point. And like, I feel like if a team's going to invest in a player, like they're not just going to do it for like 1 or 2 months anymore. Like, I think most of the chips that a lot of these teams have to bargain with are on the table at this point, and it doesn't seem like some of these teams are interested in making changes, and they're just going to gamble on performing well at champs.
I mean, and I see people talking about it in the chat, right? You got Major Maniac, you got Vickle, you got Mohawk, you got Beans.
Major Maniac's on Rokkr.
Yeah, Maniac's on Rokkr, Beans, all these guys. But at the same time, just because they're on teams, I still feel like you could still acquire them. What's going on? How come nobody loans? Especially towards the end of the year, I would be shocked if we don't see certain teams loan players out. For instance, Paris, right? After the major, I mean, their year is over. You might as well maybe if any of those guys are able to get on teams, you know, and they're getting offers. I mean, Paris should loan some people out. New York with Clay, right? Maybe Clay can work or maybe New York can work a loan out with something like Clay. Like loans are like something that I just feel like aren't talked about enough.
I feel bad for some of these players. And Donnie actually talked about this on stream, so it's not like I'm leaking anything. He says that he was trying to work his way onto a champs team basically, and it kind of all fell through. So he's basically going to be playing with Paris for the remainder of the season, at least to my knowledge, and to what he said on stream. So I mean, but like he's one of those players that I feel bad for. There's a lot of, you know, good players on bad teams that are just going to probably lose on champs. Like even look at Hydra, like their chances of making champs are very slim, right? Or like slim to none, right?
They gotta be perfect, I think. Yeah,
and like I just feel bad because that guy in this year, he's like a top 5 like SMG in my opinion. Like, and it sucks that not all the teams get to qualify for champs this year, man.
Yeah, I definitely I kind of sucks that all the teams don't qualify. I understand that people want the league to have like they want the league to have some meaning, right? Like they want league matches to have meaning.
Bad, man.
But the thing is, it's like, why can't the bottom 4 like start in like a losers or something, you know, and then the top 8 start in winners or something? Like you could still make it so everybody goes, but you know the league still means something. It kind of sucks that all 4 teams aren't going to be there, especially with the way this year has been going. Like so many ups and downs. How many? 5 different winners or 6? How many events have we had?
Every event.
Five events, 5 winners. I mean, we've yet to see a team win multiple events this year. It's been 5 different winners. Is that the most we've ever seen in a COD game so far? And we're not even done with the year yet.
I think so. I think the most beforehand was, it might have been what, 3, 4?
3 or 4, like 4.
I think I was thinking 3, 4. Bro. I don't remember 4. I think the most it was 3.
No, Modern Warfare had 6.
Apparently MW had 6. That's what I'm hearing.
Hold on. But hold on. You know what I hate about that though? The sheer amount of the home series and all that stuff. The sheer amount of them plus online is like, I think is a completely different story. Like I get, you know, like LAN is different, bro. I think on LAN that's where like people are always consistent. Like I mean, like even this year we have consistency, right? We have FaZe being consistently second, which sucks for them, but you get the point. Like that's where people are supposed to be consistent. Online is a different story. So like I'm surprised in a LAN Call of Duty we're getting this many winners. Like that is nuts to me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and if people are saying MW has 6, I mean, that doesn't surprise me either. MW and Vanguard. I mean, those are 2 games that doesn't really surprise me if multiple
They're fucking
people.
Clones of each other, bro.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, they're both shit. So,
same engine too.
You know, same engine, and they both shit. I don't know if you guys got a chance to play the MW2, the new game. I unfortunately did not get invited. I don't know if you guys played it, but I didn't get.
I haven't.
I was supposed to. So the pros are here in LA. They were playing the game, and then I was like, "Oh, I wonder if I can hop in with them." I had messaged some people. They said no, and then they didn't invite me to the content creator one.
Tom, some people have told me the limited shit they can tell me. They said it was shit. So
what they said?
Yes, I've heard it was shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I just feel like it's Modern Warfare 2.0. Like I think it's gonna be basically the exact same game that we had in 2019 with a couple new features. That's just what I.
But it doesn't even sound bad as long as we get good maps. I mean, who cares? It's all it really comes down to.
To me, that sounds bad. For a competitive game, that sounds bad.
But I'm saying maps in general. Like even MW2. Like MW2 could work competitive wise if they had good maps, and they had some good ones. There's a few good maps in there. I mean, I saw some
few playable ones. Like everyone's gonna have their definition of good, and it was also 5v5. Yeah, I think Tom, the reason. The issue people have with these maps nowadays is there's too many. One, the windows, destructible shit doors, terrible, just never should be in COD. Yeah. But secondly, there's too many useful corners in these new games, like too many impactful corners that you can sit in that actually will make a difference, or buildings. For example, in Gunrunner was one of those maps where it didn't have that many useful corners in comparison to a map like you think of Petrograd
or like Ramaza or like, you know what I'm saying?
Or even the maps nowadays, right? Like even Tuscan, right? Which is one of those maps people like to play. Bro, Tuscan has so many fucking corners, bro. Like imagine coming off your spawn and having to get in, like trying to get around church area. Do you know how many corners you have to clear before you can actually even get into the church? Like, for example, like I think that's like the main issue with these maps nowadays is that There's just too many, dude. Like, there's way too many.
Well, Lamar's in the chat, and I agree with Lamar. There were definitely some corners you can play in Gunrunner, but it wasn't like you said, Petro and Ramaza, and like some of the maps that we're playing now, where there's just like 800 different spots. Bro, think about Berlin Control when you're on the beat point. Think about all the corners that are in that site, all the desk, all the different corners you can play. You have no idea where people are when you're defending the beat point. You're coming off a spawn and they're stacking, and you're trying to flood in there. You don't even know where to fucking look.
And then in this game we have Gavutu, which is like that's like the most open map, but it plays like fucking actual shit because you can just spawn trap the enemy team, and there's so many head glitches. Like,
listen, bro, there hasn't been one good map in over 3 years. Fact.
I don't understand, Pat. Why can't they just set aside 3 or 4 people that they have on staff, three map designers, 3 or 4 map designers, and for a month they can sit in the corner of the office. They could call it the little competitive corner or some shit, and just make maps. Just sit there and design maps for a month. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know.
Bro, to me, it almost feels like, and I'm not trying. We don't have to sit here and rag on COD all fucking day, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's something we love. But at the same time, it just feels like, it almost feels like they did all this shit by accident. All the great Call of Duties and stuff like that, they did by accident. But to be honest, I think a lot of people that just worked for Call of Duty, a lot of the great, designers, a lot of the great, people that worked for these studios, they just don't work for COD anymore. They moved on to other games, or maybe they just didn't like the work conditions. We've heard all that shit that happened with like Blizzard and Activision and stuff like that, and the lawsuits and stuff like that. Like, it probably drove so many people away.
Everyone's talking in chat about Cold War maps. Like, dude, those maps weren't good. Like, you're comparing those maps to Modern Warfare maps. That's the only reason anyone thinks they were good. Those maps in Cold War were not that. I mean,
somebody just put in the chat that Checkmate wasn't that bad. Bro, that map was terrible. Checkmate was terrible.
The maps were so bad in Cold War. We had to bring back Standoff and Raid and like
save it. We had to bring back old maps to save it.
The maps were bad. The maps were just bad.
Moscow was all right. Moscow's the only map.
Cold War, the game was not that bad of a game, but the maps weren't good.
People are spamming Moscow. Chat, one map, one.
Moscow was not, and Moscow wasn't even that good.
It was all right. Moscow wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. I mean, it was 3 lanes. You had a middle of the map, and everything. The spawns made sense. Yeah, like rotations definitely matter, because you had all the cruddy head glitches and all the little spots you can play.
Like Pat says, you're just comparing Cold War maps to like shit maps.
Bro, I got people spamming Apocalypse was a good map. That was probably the worst map I've played in my life.
Apocalypse had 2 hills that made the map.
It was fun to watch, though.
Yeah, Apocalypse had 2 hills.
Horrible.
Apocalypse had 2 hills that made the map terrible, and it was P2 and it might have been P4. It was like the one before the last one, but
P5, P1, they were all
they had a lot of hills that made
P2 was like the only decent hill, and you had to flood in a fucking uphill battle through a little doorway to get into the hill. Like, the map was awful.
Yeah. I didn't like that map. And then the good side and the bad side was so just like off. The good side just went up 120 points off the rip.
Exactly.
Unless you worked a crazy flip.
I remember, Tom, remember all the flanks we had? I literally said, dude, the map is literally Hackney Yard.
Hackney Yard.
You could chain first and second hill and be up 120. Like, it was actually nuts.
No, 100%.
That, man, I think a lot of the map designers and stuff like that. I mean, hell, dude, look at Dr. Disrespect. He worked on fucking Solar, and that map was a great jetpack map. But like some of the people that just like used to work for Call of Duty, they just don't anymore. So like some of those creators for some of those amazing maps, they probably don't work for there.
Right.
But shout out to a couple people out there, man, like Matt TKS, Maddox.
Yeah, listen, there's some good people over there. Listen, I know we talk a lot of trash, like Chris said. The game shit, this is shit, this and that. But there are a lot of very talented people over there that work really hard and care a lot about the players.
Yo, chat. Now I know who Infinity Ward and Treyarch and Sledgehammer are designing maps for. These people are in the chat spamming how Miami was godlike and Garrison was the best map
Miami
of all time.
godlike.
Crossroads was fire. Bro, I know who they're designing maps for. It's clear as day, because you guys are faded if you think any of those maps were competitive at all.
I actually do like Garrison, but I do smoke a lot of papaya, so maybe I'm faded.
Mind like, see, I play like
I like Garrison.
Coming from a competitive aspect, I talked to Don a lot lately, and Don brings up some good points. Like, some of these games may not be good, but like some of these games are fun, like just the mechanics of them. Like, the fun aspect of a game is so subjective, because some people think more traditional Call of Duty's fun. Some people like mixier games. Some people like this. Some people like that. So
yeah,
I mean, I see everyone's points in terms of this stuff, but from like a purely competitive aspect, COD's lost its identity. COD used to just make really good banger ass titles, and nowadays they literally openly said, this is when the Warzone era started, that they are catering the game to be way more forgiving for casuals. And although that is a very smart marketing strategy and it paid off on the casual community, competitive suffered from it, and you can't even fucking deny it. So anybody saying that this and this is really good and stuff like that, no, bro, it wasn't made for us. It wasn't made for us. We're just trying to make it work.
Why can't they make a game that caters to both casuals and the competitive scene? I mean, you can make a game that's easy, like for casuals, right? It's just about easier to shoot, like less recoil, easier in the movement. You know, I definitely feel like that you can make a good competitive game that casuals will still love.
I think the map design is the biggest thing.
Map design is everything. That's everything.
Designing maps where they cater to casual is impossible to make it cater to competitive. Like,
yeah,
think about all the maps we have now. Like, there's a million different doorways into every site. There's a million buildings to sit in a window with 18 different windows you can open up top. Like, the lanes are so open. It's not funneling people into like something where if there's a better play on the other end, they're going to get punished. The spawns flip you out nonstop. You spawn in safety 99% of the time. You can't get spawn trapped.
Let me guys ask you this, though, Pat.
It's so catered. Although casual players can't get punished.
Although all of these are important, I think the main things that make a Call of Duty good and the main things you judge like Call of Duty on competitively is the maps, the spawn system, the gun and the gunplay and movement.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
And for the record, maps and spawn system are one thing. It's one thing.
Not necessarily.
It's one. I know. It's literally one thing. I promise. It is literally one thing. They are so highly correlated. It's not even funny. It is.
I mean, I'm gonna take your word for it because you're a developer, but at the same time, like you could have just put squad spawns into like old BO2 map and just had people literally spawning on top of each other the entire time.
Yeah,
like you could have designed a system completely different from a map. I get it. I get that. Like they're designed in tandem. Yeah, no, I agree with you. They are designed in tandem because you have to make the spawns fit the map. But at the same time, the just base system of the game like doesn't necessarily have to be that way, Pat. Because like they could have put different spawn system in a game with the bad maps. I feel like, right? Like I don't feel like that's not. I don't feel like that's a bad take at all.
It's just not how it works.
Okay, but besides the point, if they were separate, let's just assume, and you had to pick two things out of that list of three: the gun skill and the movement, the maps and the spawn system. Those three things you had to pick two. Which one are you picking as the most important factors? The other one can lack.
The maps.
You're picking the maps.
The maps are the most important for sure. Good maps are good. If you have good maps, you have good spawns.
100%. Not necessarily, but like I said,
not necessarily, but to me, that's what makes a good map.
In my opinion, bro, maps, most important things ever, bro. I could give a fuck if a guy has squads. I could give a fuck if the map has squad spawns and people are spawning on top of each other. If the map design is good, I don't care if every gun has no recoil. I don't give a fuck if we're bot walking, tack sprinting. If the maps suck, it ruins the fucking experience.
And listen, Chris, you said right that people aren't working there. The same people like Dr. D and some of the guys that used to make maps back in the day just aren't there anymore. But they're still making maps. They're still making very big maps with a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's a lot of shit going on in these maps. Like there's some very talented people making these maps is what I'm saying. And I don't understand why these map developers, they can't set up a meeting or a call and they should design just some maps for competitive and sit down with the pro players and go over some map designs, go over some map layouts. I mean, why not just get some of the pros involved? And this should have been months ago. Months ago, they should have got pros involved designing maps and designing map layouts and this and that. I just don't. To me, it just seems like a bunch of excuses, man. It seems like a bunch of excuses, and they just don't give a fuck about it. They don't care about competitive. Yeah, they're focused on realism and the casuals. They just don't give a fuck at all about the competitive scene. They don't. If they cared, they would take it a lot more seriously. Even when players go and test the game, okay, they're going to test the game. The game's already made. All the guns are there, the maps are all there, everything's already made.
Let me hear your thoughts on something else, Tom, because there's rumors that apparently there's a map editor in the game.
I heard that.
Although I want to believe that that's a thing, even if it is, I have no idea how they're going to like employ it.
I mean, I heard that you can't design maps. It's not like a Forge where you can design maps, but you can edit maps. So the maps
like move objects.
Yeah, like move things around and do some shit.
You can move around and stuff. Like I don't know. I think it's interesting, and if we're allowed to use it in a competitive, scene, I'm sure we will to some degree. But anybody that is literally thinking that this is going to be the fucking saving grace of Call of Duty map design is fucking fried.
Well, I mean, nobody.
I would also bet that this is something that doesn't even come out until like year 2 or very late in the development or the game, the life cycle of the game. It's not something I don't see being available on launch or even halfway through 6 months after launch. So to me, it would be something. And you got to think this is, I think, right, the one COD that we're gonna have for 2 full years. Right, there's just going to be 2 full years in the CDL competitive everything of just this game. So I
want to say that this might be a good thing, though.
I don't, because if it's bad, it's going to be really bad.
Well, if it's bad, it's going to be really bad. But if it's like not the best, but it's workable, right? Like Cold War was a game where it wasn't the best, but I feel like we could work with Cold War.
Everything's workable in a way. We're making look at Vanguard. This game is terrible, but they're still playing it,
bro. Listen, man, today I just had a bug while playing with Doug where he planted the bomb and had the bomb in his hands and couldn't switch off to his weapon. This shit is not workable. Like, bro, there's so many bugs.
New glitches. Jesus Christ.
There's glitches every fucking day. There's game crashes every fucking day. The things that carry it is the personalities.
Doug the bug.
None of this shit.
Doug with a bug.
Bro, people would watch scump fucking Bob Apples against fucking Patty Price, bro. No one gives a fuck that it's Vanguard.
Yeah. No, I agree. The storylines keep us in it. The personalities keep us in it.
Apple bobbing, bro. I remember doing that at a Halloween party once. Yo,
what is that? What is apple bobbing? What is that?
That's when you have like apples in a bucket of water and you like go down and grab them. And you know what apple bobbing is?
Oh, I know what it is now. I've seen that before. Where people, I used to do that in middle school. We used to have relay races, and we used to do that.
Same shit.
Yeah. I just didn't know the term. I didn't know the term
personalities
for it.
Would have my way with Seth in the apple bobbing.
100p, man.
No, I agree. Personalities are keeping it going, and just content being made around it, keeping it going. I mean, listen, I'm very excited for MW2. I just hope that, we're not disappointed. And I saw somebody in the chat saying Haggie's being so negative. It's just hard to be positive. It's very hard.
It's called being a realist,
just
bro.
Being real. Yeah, just being real. It's very hard to be positive when year after year we had the same issues.
Bro, we've been competing for fucking 13 years. I've seen all this shit. Yeah, I want to know how long you've been in the know with competitive Call of Duty.
We've been in for a decade.
I've been here for over a fucking decade. Yeah. Like, this game's about to be fire for competitive.
I was literally dealing with Haggy RPD FMJing me on COD 4 Overgrown as Caramel XX.
No way, bro. That name is horrible. Your name was Caramel XX. Jesus Christ. Thank God you changed that.
At one point. Yeah, on God.
Maron. But I listen, we'll see what happens when the game's dropped. Even if the game is dropped and there's not good maps, they can always put maps into the game. It's just how much effort they're going to put into the competitive scene. We don't know. So hopefully, we get a little bit more support on a competitive side. I noticed.
Tom, we thought we were gonna get London Docs this year.
Yeah, that was London Docs. We got USS Texas.
We didn't get fucking London Docs.
Wait, did they put USS Texas in the game?
That's what I heard. It's next season. That's coming out.
Okay, they're putting Texas in the game. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Out of all the maps you want to bring back, sure. Who's bright ass idea? Who's smoking the good shit over there? They said, you know what? Let's bring back USS Texas. Let's bring that shit back. Who the fuck's smoking on that shit? I don't understand.
I want to say that, COD, did a smart thing and catered to the casuals and stuff like that. And like, it did help them with like MW and stuff like that. It made people hyped, Warzone, all that stuff. But even now they're losing their identity with the casuals, bro. Casuals also fucking hate this game. And on top of that, bro, a lot of the Warzone streamers don't even play Warzone anymore.
But with MW2, like, I think casuals are going to come back out of nowhere because the nostalgia of it all. And then I think Warzone 2 will be lit. I hope they do Warzone 2 right. I'm a big fan of Warzone when they do it the right way. I didn't like how they did that new season with the new map with Warzone. I just think a lot of people really dislike the map. And one thing they did with Warzone is bring in a lot of Warzone players to give their input on Warzone and kind of gauge their interest a little bit and take their advice. And maybe they're pumping some of their advice into Warzone too.
I'm just not a big BR guy, but I'm sure Warzone 2 will be dope. But the one thing I did see that I saw a lot of people were negative about was the fact that they basically said they're going to wipe away all inventories. Like, it's brand new. So every skin, item, whatever you had in Warzone 1, like, is gone.
That's a good thing, though, Pat. That's a good thing.
Is that a good thing for people who spent thousands of dollars?
Bro, I'm just, you know what I hated though? I just hated, I just, listen, as long as I don't load up fucking Warzone 2 and they make me get on fucking the old Warzone to rank up guns or make me play fucking Cold War to find this random ass gun that's OP as hell in Warzone. I gotta go back to an old game and grind it and level it up.
I'm not talking about the actual gunshot. I'm just talking about strictly like the
like camos and shit like that.
Yeah, like, bro, there's probably, think about it. Warzone's been out for what, 2.5 years almost now. Like, there was people who probably spent like thousands on COD points to buy skins and camos and all kinds of shit, and they're just wiping it 2 years later when, you know, as a BR, this is something that people thought was going to have like legs under it and a lifespan.
No, that makes sense.
Basically just saying like, fuck it, like, you're getting nothing, you don't own any items, which we knew, but still, I think it's a really bad precedent for kind of how going forward, the fact that you literally don't own any of these items and it's back to just year to year all your
there needs to be more of a connection too from Warzone to multiplayer. Like, there needs to be a connection there where, like, the guns that are good in multiplayer, the guns that are good in Warzone, and stuff like that. The only reason why I'm saying all this is because when I competed, there was nothing worse than going to play a Warzone tournament and I say, yo, what's the best gun? What's the best gun in Warzone? Everybody says, oh, this gun, and I'm like, what the fuck? How the fuck do I get that gun? Oh, you gotta go load up Cold War, you gotta go play pubs, you gotta go get this many headshots and this and that. I'm like, bro, what? I was like, as long as we could keep the guns within MW2, I would much rather level up the guns on the same game and not have to go play an old game to you know, unlock all the good shit. But I'm excited for Warzone 2, honestly. I'm excited for Warzone 2. I hope they do it the right way. I'll probably be hopping on Warzone a little bit. And I am excited for MW2. I'm excited for a new game. I just hope it's done right. So we'll see how it is. I know the pros have tested it. I know they've given their input. We've done that every year. Listen, pros have gone in every single year and have tested the game. Every single year. And a lot of the times the pros give advice and, you know, sometimes it goes through one ear, not the other. The game's already made.
It's always gone in one ear, not the other. Don't say it's sometimes.
I think that's the problem. That's the problem is every single year. I mean, dude, I tested every game up until Modern Warfare since I was a pro. Like, the feedback loop that you're involved in is just so, basically, you're there just to someone to say that you were there.
Yeah,
like
that's what it feels like.
It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't get heard. It doesn't implement anything. It's literally just saying, hey, we had X amount of pros come in and test our game and get feedback. Like, that's what it feels like. Like, when you look at a developer that cares, and I'm going to use Ubisoft as an example here. Like, I consulted for a few months, right, on X Defiant. And then they offered me a full-time position. They created a job role, you know, unique to me and the skills that I had to get me involved. That was, you know, the approach they took.
That's cool.
And it's like, the thing is, man, if COD could do this, they have 3 studios. They have way more studios than that. They have 3 main studios that are making games. Like, dude, they could easily get some guys in if they really cared.
Yeah.
To hire them, create these positions that make sense for them, and get them involved in some way.
Agreed.
They just choose not to. They don't want to. From a high level perspective, like, it just doesn't happen.
That's what I was saying. You get people with a competitive mindset, get a whole competitive team. They just focus on competitive and focus on map and focus on spawns and focus on all the shit that we need to have a good competitive game.
Oh, they had people like Rambo. Remember Rambo with Sledgehammer?
Yeah, but I mean,
how did that work?
I'm not gonna go into it, but I just
I don't even with Rambo. I mean, I don't think Rambo was just the one calling all the shots over there. I don't think
he wasn't, but like, he definitely was an advisor. We don't have anyone in there anymore.
Yeah, but enough about MW2, man. Listen, the game's gonna be dropping soon. Well, we got like 130 days or 140 days so the game comes out. I'm not sure exactly how many days, but it's around there. And we're all very excited for the new game. We just hope that we don't go through the same bullshit we've been going through year after year after year after year. Hard to be positive. It really is, just because we've been through the same bullshit over and over and over again. But I'm hoping that we can get our shit together. But I am excited. Always excited for a new COD to drop. And you'll have attached tweeting about how it's going to be the best Call of Duty ever. But let's get into some of these roster changes. One more team that I want to ask you guys about is the Florida Mutineers. I heard that they're trialing this year. Or not this year, the next couple weeks.
Trialing for, Tom?
They're trialing for Dave Patty. The rumor on the street is that Dave Patty is the anomaly. He's the one guy that's not in any of these rosters that they're trialing. I have no idea who they're trialing. Have you guys heard at all about who they're trialing or who they're trying out? Or
it's been under wraps.
All right, so it's under wraps. I mean, it's got to be Yeez. I mean, they're definitely bringing Yeez in there.
I did see Yeez tweeting a bunch of gifts, so I assumed he's getting some playtime.
But some gifts.
But I wonder, like, for them too, is like, who, if they weren't going to pick up their sub, who could they realistically get? Who could they be trialing other than Yeez?
I mean, at that point, you would maybe even look at some of the other guys that are some of these other teams, maybe working out some loans. I mean, for the only person that I could think of is Yeez. That was the only person I could think of them trialing. In terms of like, if they're trialing, they have to be trying out more than one player other than Yeez. They have to be. I have no idea. It could be challengers players. It could be players that are locked up on other teams. Maybe Florida's trying to work buyouts. They're trying to pull Pristini. I see people saying Pristini, Neptune. They're not. I don't see Neptune coming back just because they had a huge fallout. Neptune had a huge fallout with a big wake and some of the guys over there. Unless they put their differences aside, then I don't know. Maybe Neptune. Obviously, there's a lot of players. This guy JLR said loans are not happening. I don't know why. I mean, loans have been a thing. Loans have happened multiple times in COD. So to say that they're not happening, I just don't see. I don't see why you would write it off. I definitely think loaning is a big possibility going in towards the end of the year. That some of these franchise teams should be looking at. It's a good way to make some money back too. If you're some of these franchise teams that aren't going to champs and you have a bunch of players sitting there on the sideline, you loan them off, you get some money back, you make a little money, and bada bing, bada boom, boom. It's good business, you know. So we'll see how that all goes. But you think it's a W for the Florida boys? You think it's a W that they're doing it? I feel like if you're gonna do a trial process, now's a good time. We got a few weeks, right, to try and make some moves and try some things out.
Listen, all I'm saying is Pat said it best. We're never wrong, or we're not. We're early. We're just never wrong, or whatever the hell he said. What'd you say? Pat wasn't saying?
What'd I say? Oh, I said
we might be early, but we're never wrong.
Yeah, I might be early, but I wasn't wrong. You guys were like, oh no, this shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen. Oh, this team isn't the best. Listen, just because I saw it months ahead of you, that didn't mean I was wrong. It just means I was 2 steps ahead of you.
Pat, you were Pat. Let's get into this tier list a little bit as we switch on over. You were wrong about one team, and that was the Seattle Surge, Pat. The Seattle Surge.
You could say that, Tom, but by that you'd also say that we are all wrong about LAG, and I think it's kind of a similar boat where we're just early. Like they had a performance that I don't think they're gonna repeat the rest of this game. Similar with LAG. Granted, I do think Seattle is a much better team than LAG. I don't think they're on their level, but I don't think they're gonna repeat at an event again. I don't think they're gonna win or be in another grand final.
I'm just saying, Pat, you said word for word that there's no way in hell the Seattle team has what it takes to win a championship.
I said the same thing about LAG. To be fair, I said the same thing. What I didn't take into account is how absolutely wildly inconsistent this game is. That's the one thing I didn't take into account. If we are on a normal game, 100% correct. But I was early in the fact that this game is wildly inconsistent, and I didn't consider that. But I don't think it'll happen again.
I agree that the game is wildly inconsistent, but I'm going to go ahead and show some love to Seattle because
I was going to say the same thing. They're good as fuck.
Dude, they have superstars on their team.
Yeah,
they have 3 legitimate superstars and a more than capable leader in Lamar. They got good coaching staff, stuff like that. They've always looked good but inconsistent, and this last split they were consistent the whole way through. They were consistent in the major. They dominated at the major. They had one series I can remember.
Hold on. I'm not gonna let you say that. They did not dominate at the major. They scraped a game 5 against New York. They beat up a horrible Florida team. They got I don't know what god they prayed to win that winter finals against FaZe. They should not have won that series. No matter what, they should not have won that series. And then in grand finals, they went up 3-0, and then FaZe could have won 4 straight, but they choked that Berlin Control up 2-0. They should have went down 4-3. Either way, they did not by any means dominate that event. They won that event, and they were very clutch at that event.
But should have, could have, would have, whatever. At the end of the day, they
also were very clutch in the beginning, Tom. If you remember, when they in the beginning of their qualifier matches in season 1, they literally clutched up. Lamar had 3 massive 1v1 game 5 round 11 clutches that that put them in the
Listen, I'm not saying that some of these matches haven't been close, but you can't deny the fact that Seattle has taken down top teams during the year, and you could see their potential, you could see their ceiling, and I think they just had to put it together at an event, and that's what they did. I think it was pretty clear to me that they had the talent, they had the roster around them to win an event and to be that team that can make a run at a tournament, and they did it.
You know who else has taken down top teams this year? Florida, and they are horrible.
Yeah, but Florida's another team that I think they have talent and can make a run at an event. They're another team that I could see winning, and that just goes to show how much competition there is in this league. I mean, we've seen a lot of winners. You could say whatever you want about the game and the inconsistencies. I agree, but it's also the talent. We can't take away from the talent that's in the league. I mean, from top to bottom, there's a lot of talent in there that could turn some heads.
I would have liked to see these teams this year of the league on like a good game, even in Cold War. Like seeing these exact teams would have been cool.
Just a better game, bro.
Yeah, just something better. Because this game, like, bro, seeing this shit, I'm like, yeah, this is like even on paper, this is the most competitive league we've had for a long time.
Yeah.
But the game just doesn't do itself any favors, dude. But
well, let's get into it, man.
I hate that combo, the most competitive league. Like, because when you look at it, that's not even based on the talent of the teams. It's literally based on the game.
No, it's both, Pat. It's both.
The game dictates
Pat.
More of what happens, bro.
Pat, before the year started, I agree with you, Pat. But at the beginning of the year, when I looked at the teams, and like I was like, okay, so I was still competing in my head. I was like, yo, I can get on one of these teams. But then I looked at the rosters, and I'm like, fuck, there's probably no like these are probably all the best rosters that they could have probably formed. Like I do think I was like good enough to be on teams, but like I couldn't be mad. When I look at other years, and I see some teams, some of these teams that were put together, and I was like, how the fuck this shit? What? How's this guy? No offense, but like, how's this guy in the league? Like this year, I was like, wow, these are really well put together rosters for the most part, in my opinion.
You were also gauging 5v5 compared to 4v4. That's a much different combo.
No, in Cold War, I had the same thing where I was just like, wow, there's a lot of teams that still suck this year. Like just looking at the teams this year, 100%. Like talent wise, most competitive league we have had talent wise. But the game obviously isn't doing itself any favors towards that argument.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the tier list a little bit, man. We got 12 teams here. We got an S tier, an A tier, B tier, C tier, and a D tier. We're going to go through team by team. We're going to put them into their respected tiers or wherever we think they should possibly be. We'll even go to the chat. We'll see what the chat says a little bit. And then we'll get our opinions and we'll just go through them one by one. The first team, we're going to go from bottom to the top. We got the Toronto Ultra. They'll be the first team. To me, this is kind of like I'll put them somewhere around A. I feel like for me, Ultra is one of those teams where you just, as the year went on, you knew that these guys are just going to get better and better and better. We knew what they were capable of. Their talent's there. Their teamwork's there. I think this weekend at Toronto, they really showed out and kind of showed like, listen, guys, we're here to stay. I'm sure the crowd helped them out a little bit, right? The crowd was on their side cheering for them. But just to see how much support they had in person, and just to see how many supporters they've been playing for, I just feel like Toronto, they're hitting gear and they're hitting the pace now, and you know they flipped that switch at a pretty good time. We're getting to the last major in New York. We got champs, 2 more events, and I think Ultra, they're starting to click. But where would you guys put them? I personally think A, but what do you guys think?
It's easily an A. I'm seeing chat say B. Fried.
Yeah, some people are saying B. Some people are saying B. I personally want them A.
Easily an A team. What?
Yeah, it's not a debate. It's
not even a debate, bro. They're like
top
they
4,
were
top 5
on the cusp of making a final. They were at the beginning of the season placing well. They won the kickoff classic, right? And then they also were placing well when they were struggling with hardpoint. Then they took a dip and then they just started to rise again. Like they are easily an A. It's not even close.
Yep. Pal, you agree with that? You agree with the A? You agree with that?
Yeah, I don't think it's a debate.
All right, we'll keep Ultra an A. We'll move to the next team. We got the Seattle Surge. These are the champions of the Toronto Major. They had a very inconsistent year, a lot of ups, a lot of downs. They've beaten good teams. They've lost to bad teams. Just a very, very mixed year for them. Can't deny their talent. They came in and they took care of business. And I think it's also, you got to give them their flowers, man. Got to give them their props. This is a team that I kind of want to put in A as well. I think this is a team that we could probably put up there.
I agree with you. This has to be an A team. This, like I said, man, you got to show them their love. They have the talent. Their win looked a lot more convincing and a lot more probable than LAG's win, in my opinion. And looking at the rest of the league, I think a lot of these teams have a decent amount of catching up to do, even to like, the A tier teams. Like I think the league is kind of starting to kind of like it's more obvious like what teams are like capable of winning championships and what teams aren't. So.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to note that teams have won tournaments, but we have to look at everything. They won tournaments. We got to look at their whole year. Look at what they've been doing. And in Seattle, like you said, right, comparing them to LAG a little bit, Chris, I feel like they've showed a little bit more.
100%.
Would you guys agree to put Seattle over Ultra? I mean, personally, they just won the event.
You have to, just based on the win.
They got to win, and that's something obviously that Toronto hasn't achieved yet. They've also got some good placings this year, so yeah, I would put Seattle over Ultra in my personal opinion. But Pat, what do you think? Where would you put them? What are your thoughts? Where's your head at?
I wouldn't put them over Ultra, but yeah, I think they're an A tier team. Based on the fact that they just won the event. But you got to think too. I mean, they were 12th, dead last, right? They then got, I think, 6th or 8th, one of those two. And then they won. So that's their 3 major placements. At the Pro Am, they got 16th, which I didn't even realize was a placement until I remembered that all 4 of the AM teams were there as well.
They had some problems with Matt getting sick, right? They had a big match and they were playing well, and Matt got sick at one of the tournaments, and they've just had a very up and down year, and they've had some unfortunate circumstances happen to them. You would put Seattle under Ultra, you said, Pat. That's what you said. You put them under Ultra.
Yeah. I mean, you gotta think too. I mean, I think so. This is what the one thing that I wanted to happen at the Toronto event was if FaZe won that winner bracket finals against Seattle, which I think they should have won, like. No question in my mind. It was a 1% chance.
They choked so fucking hard. Holy shit.
Really wanted to see the Ultra Surge matchup in loser finals because I do think personally that Ultra stacks up a lot better against Seattle. I think Ultra matchup wise, it's a good matchup for them when they play Seattle. I think they outclass them in search, and I think in respawn, I think their kind of style of play is something that is they easily could take a respawns off Seattle basically. So. I think Ultra would have won that series in loser finals if they did match up, but the reason I have them over them is because I have Ultra being a better team than Seattle. Like if they were to play right now,
I don't know about that, man. I feel like Seattle. I feel like again you're just underestimating Seattle. I think.
I think it's that Seattle matches up better against teams like FaZe and Optic than they do against teams like Ultra.
Okay, so you think matchups playing a hand, which matchups are a big thing this year. Certain teams just struggle against certain teams. It is what it is. It's matchups and play styles and all kinds of shit. I personally would have Seattle above Ultra. Chris, you would have Seattle above Ultra?
Just right now from results, yeah. But
okay. We'll keep them there. Majority, we'll keep them there.
I would have loved to see that those two teams play against each other.
Yeah.
I really wish that loser finals happened.
That would have been a fun one.
Let's go to the next one. We got the Paris Legion. I mean, we're gonna put them at D. Seriously. I mean, should we even debate this? Should we even talk about this?
Just put them D and move forward.
We might need the. Thanks, baby. We might need to put them in the. We have to put them at the D tier. Listen, love all the guys over at Paris. I think they're all great guys. I think individually they're not even bad players. It's just not clicking for them this year as a team, and even individually, some players just haven't been performing and haven't been putting up the numbers they probably should be. But it's just not looking good. Paris, they're going to the D. How you doing? And then we get to the Minnesota Rokkr. This one's tricky, man. This one's tricky. Minnesota, man, they did not have a good start, in my opinion. Like the whole season, the whole year so far just hasn't been very good for Minnesota. It wasn't until recent where I feel like they've really kind of took it up to another notch. They were 5-0, right, going into the major, and then going into the major, they just weren't able to capitalize. All their matches were so close, and they just weren't able to clutch up. For me, I'm looking at maybe putting Minnesota probably around B, like in the B tier. Yeah. Some people are saying C tier in the chat. I don't know. I personally, with the way they've been playing and just kind of looking at some of these other teams, I personally have them in the B tier, kind of middle of the pack. But Chris, we'll start with you. What do you think?
I think they're out of B. I think I wanted to rate them higher. I thought they were going to be a really good team at the major, and granted, they have some close losses.
Very close losses.
Yeah, they have that thing that Pat was saying, right? Where like we have to see them on land, and unfortunately for them, they proved Pat right, dude. Like they played really good online. They looked like they were a contender, and then they go to the event and they fall flat on their faces to a point where it's like they didn't look like contenders. They didn't look like the same team they did online. Unfortunately, I don't think I just can't put them on the same level as the Toronto Ultra and Seattle right now.
Dude, the only person on their team that can perform is Attached. Like he's the only one that can consistently perform on his team.
Consistently perform.
Everyone else is just up, down, up, down, up, down.
Going into the major, I thought Minnesota was going to come in and turn some heads because they look so good, and everybody started to kick up. Havoc, Standy, even P-Dog, right? Priesta started to kick up, and he started to look like himself. And we saw some of it from those players at the event. They didn't go to the event and just get completely smoked. They looked good, but not good enough.
I think they did turn some heads, Tom. I think they achieved that. They had people fooled, and people thought that they were a lot better than they were. And then people got to the event, and their heads turned when they realized that they were some fraudulent onliners.
So you would go out and say that they're onliners. You would go out and say that.
I wouldn't say they're onliners. I just think they're better online.
Okay.
I think these guys are still talented COD players, but I think their performance as a team is a lot better online than it will ever be online.
Why do you think that is? Because we saw Priesta, we saw Attach, we saw Sandy. Like,
these are all guys who have won on LAN.
Literally went last year at least and fried.
To me, it's honestly the way they play Search, especially online. They play a very risky way of Search.
Play more loose.
Yeah, they play super loose where they just hit lanes. They no fucks given. Some shit like that, bro. You can get away with that once or twice, but that cannot be a play style that you have, because that, I don't care who you are, that gets exposed on LAN. It always has. You can't just run around the map and expect to just find bloods with no fucking, no issues at all. So the way they play S&D is the biggest reason why I think they just don't find as much success on LAN.
Yeah, I think B's a good spot for them. I think B's right now middle of the pack. They could come out and win an event, of course. I mean, we saw what they were able to do online. They just had to replicate it on LAN, and I think they have the talent to do it. Just looking at some of the teams at the top is going to be very difficult. So I think B's a good spot. Let's move on to the next one. We got the Los Angeles Gorillas coming in next. I think you can't put him next to Paris. You can't. Paris isn't a Paris. You seriously? I'm putting him C. I would have had him C.
Pat, D.
I think they're better than Paris.
They are better than Paris, but D.
But yeah, I think if you ask me right now, if Paris and LAG were gonna have like a 1 weekend match, right, where LAG played all teams in the league and then Paris played all teams in the league, I would not be surprised if they ended the weekend with the exact same record.
No bullshit.
So I think they're at
the top of D,
team.
but
I was gonna say bottom of C, but top of D, same shit.
Nah, we can't be easy on these guys, and like a lot of these people are my boys, but they have been some ass.
Yeah, they've been ass. They've won an event though, and to put them next to Paris just doesn't seem right.
It doesn't matter. That was a miracle event, outlier event. We've already talked about this.
When we compare the whole year, right? LAG was ass. Won an event.
Like
fluke,
what the fuck?
And then ass. Like
they weren't ever like decent.
Yeah, that's my problem. They had like moments of glory with like some players overperforming, right? Like Asum being an absolute like factor for like a series or two. But like for overall, the talent this team has, we've never seen it at all this whole year, except for that 1 weekend where Spark filled in, they used the Volk and they got a win. But other than that, they've been bottom four.
Bro, and it hurts me to say this because I like all the players. I know you got love for Asum, so do I. But
listen, you got to put that aside though. I mean, I got love for Asum.
It's literally been terrible.
Not putting him any higher than C.
Miracle, terrible. Like there was no build up. There was no like slow, like fall to the bottom like you experience with other teams, which there's actual teams that are like that we'll talk about later down the stretch of teams. But like their win was just such a fucking anomaly.
I mean, listen, I'm not sitting here disagreeing with you guys. I'm not sitting here saying these guys are good. I mean, everything you guys have said is facts. Them being shit and then winning an event and then continuing to be shit. I mean, that's a fact. That's just how it is.
Slasher have been so disappointing this year, like unbelievably disappointing for how talented those two guys are. Pierce started off strong, obviously had the health issues. He's been disappointing since he's gotten back.
Asum started off strong.
Yeah, Asum's the one that kind of for me was the most, I was seeing the most out of in terms of like surprising me. But ever since, like that period ended, like he's been super disappointing. So there's really no one on this team that's playing well at all. And as a team, they're not playing well. So, if we're talking about like what my expectations are for the end of the year, I don't think they qualify for champs. I think they're bottom four. And I think D should be kind of the house for those teams that we think are bottom four.
I don't disagree with what you guys' takes. I even see my man AG Pred in the chat. Yo, Tom, 2K next week. Listen, AG, if you want to get slapped up, I'm down. If you want to get slapped up in 2K, we could do this. I already know. I got Pred mentally prepared for that event. I know I did. At Toronto, I got that guy going. Listen, I'm not going to disagree with anything you guys said. I agree with all the takes. I personally probably would have had him in C just because I just feel like to put him next to Paris, it's like, whoa. but you know, they haven't been good. They haven't been good.
Pat put it best. I don't even think D is like a tier. I think the D tier is the bottom 4.
Yeah, that's fine. That's completely fine. I don't mind putting them in the D tier. I think you guys, the way you guys backed it up, it's understandable. I get it. So we're gonna put the LA Gorillas in the D tier. We also took a poll in the chat. 75% right now saying D tier, 25% saying C tier. So you know, the chat's also agreeing. Majority is putting them in D.
Bad, bro. They're just bad.
Yeah, not looking too good here. So we're gonna throw them in the D tier, and we're gonna go to the next one. We got the London Royal Ravens coming up next. This is another team. I mean, if we're gonna have LAG down at the D tier, I mean, we might need to maybe even think about putting London down there or C tier. They're definitely towards the bottom. London has not been good. I think in the beginning of the year they started hot, they looked great, and it's just been downhill since. It's been downhill. I would personally probably put them. If we're looking at the D tier, I would probably put them right next to LAG, right above LAG on the D tier.
I think you could make that case, but I'm gonna say C just because we've seen moments of this team, right? Like we've seen some hope from this team. Yeah, they're currently going through a phase where they have a fill in fourth, but we know this team is better than LAG if they get their teammate back. And they're able to win fucking series at events. That's something that LAG can't do, right? Like they still beat NYSL at the last tournament. I don't know how, but they did. So for me, I think they still have life left in them. I think D tier is like the out of life, bro. Like the tank is on E, you're done.
Damn, the tank's on 100%. E. That's not good. Yeah. They're breaking down in the middle of the road.
Yeah, I think London, bro, like the C tier, you got a little in reserve.
They're like the bottom of C tier right now.
Yeah. It might not work out, but you got a little bit of time to
they're hanging on. They're like rush, like they're about to run out of fuel, right? And they're like using that last bit to try to get to the gas station, and the gas station is Gizmo, and that's literally where they're at right now.
All right, we'll throw them up in a C tier. I like how you said that, Chris. And then we go over to the next one. One thing I will say about London is, like you said, Pat, they're not dead yet, and we've seen some light from them in the beginning of the year, but they're changing it up again. They're bringing Gizmo back. We'll see how it ends up working for them. I do think there's some players on that team that are really good. I'm a big Afro fan. I just think that guy's disgusting.
That guy's gross.
We'll put him in C. I don't mind that at all. We can take a look at the poll as well in the chat. It looks like C was 82% C, and then a few B's, 6% saying B tier, and 10% saying D tier. So we're going to keep them in C, 84%.
B tier was fried.
B tier is definitely fried. Yeah, anybody saying B, man. There was 27 people that said D in this, or B that said B in this chat.
Those guys are off the papaya.
Yeah, they got to be smoking that good shit. But let's get into the next one. The Los Angeles Thieves. They're coming up next.
This is probably the hardest team to rank.
This is hard because they're just like, they're either good or they're shit. They obviously haven't won a tournament yet. They've gotten close, right? With the kickoff, they got, or not the kickoff, what was the Pro-Am? They made it to the final. They got a little bit close. Personally, I'm thinking maybe around a B here. Like I'm thinking middle of the pack next to Minnesota. I'm thinking next to Minnesota is a pretty good shot.
Like, and the only reason I'm giving them B instead of C is because they look better on land, but online these guys are actual trash,
bro. Depending
on
how
land they're horrible. On land they're better.
Depending on how Kenny plays, this team could be A, B, or C on any given day. If he has those like plus 20 series, bro, they're an A tier team. If he's even, they're a B tier team. If he throws up those neg 30 stinkers, they're a C tier team. This team, there hasn't been
a lot relies on Kenny, is what you're saying. A lot comes down to him.
All relies on Kenny. Okay. I think it all relies on him, bro. The fact that they had that series versus Optic where he was legit plus 30,
he was frying,
and then the series the next day he went neg 30, and it was like he had the exact same stat line just reversed, and it's like they fried and then they got fucking torched. Like I think it all comes down to Kenny, whether he can play good or bad. I think the other three guys, it's so weird because it feels like this team has 3 role players and Kenny. That's how I view this team. No bullshit.
Yeah,
and if Kenny, depending on how he plays, that's how good LAT is. Like they got all their chips in Ken.
I don't think it's just Kenny. I think it's all of them. I think Envoy's been up and down. Sometimes Envoy will come out and just look incredible, and then sometimes he'll come out and get smoked. Same with the AR. Same with Draza and Sam.
That side, bro. Draza and Sam have been consistent for at least like the last stage. They might not be frying, like world starring, like putting up the best numbers. Like Pat said it best. They're like everyone's playing like a role player, and then Kenny's just like, is he gonna fry? Is he gonna get smoked?
That's what I'm saying. Like no matter how the other 3 play, they could win a series regardless of how Octane plays. They could win a series regardless of how Envoy plays. Same with Draza. But if Kenny doesn't play well, this team cannot win a series, bro. That's literally how I think how it's been all year long. Like if he cannot play well, this team stands no chance.
Yeah, nah, I'm down to keep him in the B's here. I think under Minnesota though. I think Minnesota showed a little bit more consistency so far this year, especially recently.
Recently they have
recent bias.
Yeah,
recent bias. I think Minnesota deserves to be at the top right now. But let's go to the next one. We got the Florida Mutineers. Obviously, we were just talking about it before getting into the list. These guys are trialing some players, man. We don't really know who. We know Yeez is in there. He's their substitute. We know they got to be trialing him. Not sure who else they're trying to get in there. But where do you guys put them? This is a team that, again, you could say a lot for all these teams, just inconsistencies. Like in the middle of the pack when it gets to these A, B, C's, like all these teams, just so up and down.
I think we put them at the top of C tier.
You'd put them at the top of C.
Yeah, I think I'd put them at the top of C. I think Florida's always for me has been even
definitely over London.
Has been at the top of C right now. Like that, just looking at the teams. Right now, I just think they've always been a team to me that like it looks like they can beat top teams, but like they just like somehow just like don't place well. It's like so weird. Like they have the talent, they just can't put it together. They've been like the gatekeepers of mid, no bullshit, in my opinion, for a long time in this league. And it just like it's so weird trying to rate them because you just never know what you're gonna get out of like
if they have.
Well, there's some people coming in the chat that are arguing that maybe Florida should be above the Los Angeles Thieves. Pat, what were you gonna say?
If they have Dave Patty, they're C tier. If they have anyone in the world other than Dave Patty, I think this team deserves B. I don't necessarily think they're better than LAT because I think LAT is at least more consistent, especially when you compare like across all game modes. But I do think they're a good enough team to justify B, and I think they will get a lot better without Dave Patty. It would blow my mind if they don't. Like if they pick up Deez or someone else and they get fried, I would actually be shocked. Like I would truly be shocked.
Would you? You'd be shocked?
Yeah, because dude, I think Sky is awakening. These guys are literally frying every series.
If they pick up
but
somebody,
they have inconsistency problems too, though. You know, Skies and Wake got to be careful too. No, they have.
I want to say they do, and like I'm not gonna lie, they definitely do to agree. But like Caesar on LAN, every single LAN tournament that I've seen him play
with every gun.
That guy's gross. That guy's gross. Yeah, no, that guy's really good.
On LAN, at least he's been consistently frying every single team that I've seen him play against.
Also, Lamar wanted to be smart in chat, talking about like why I feel the way I feel about Dave. Bro, Dave is literally a reincarnation of Too Quick. I'm being dead ass. I'm not. This isn't like a roast of either player. They are the exact same style of player. And Too Quick, I know from personal experience, legit costed me thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Damn,
and I just feel it's just true.
My bad, Too Quick. My bad, bro.
And I hate seeing play styles like that affect good teams. So, it's just that simple, bro. I just think that play style is so bad on a competitive roster. So
all right, listen, we'll keep Florida there at the top of the C tier. Definitely don't want to put them under London. I think they've showed more promise than London has. I felt like maybe there could be an argument to put them in the bottom of B. Because I feel like they have the talent just like Minnesota and LA Thieves do. I feel like they've kind of had like a similar year, almost in a way. Kind of when you look at how the list is kind of playing out, would you guys agree that I feel like Minnesota and
they're very similar.
They're pretty similar.
Very similar, but like I don't think what I've seen from Florida is the potential to win an event. I think I've seen LA Thieves have potential to win an event. They just can't fucking close. And then I've seen Minnesota like look like they're a competitor to maybe potentially be in a championship. Right. Florida, it's like they have the potential. They're like the reverse of Seattle, and it's kind of funny how they're kind of almost mirrored right now on the tier list. Like they can beat good teams, but like they don't even sometimes they don't even look competitive versus teams I feel like they should be beating. While Seattle can beat good teams and it's started to show some consistency. Like I don't know, they almost feel like a mirrored version of each other. In with one taking more of the negatives than the positives.
Okay, so we're gonna keep Florida there at C. So right now we got 2 teams in the A tier, B tier, C tier, and D tier. Nobody hit our S yet. I think we all know what teams are gonna go into that S tier. But let's get into the next one, the New York Subliners. Now with this team, man, listen, I feel like they recently, with their recent roster, this is like the best roster they've had this year. I think that this is like the most promising roster, but they still didn't execute at Toronto. They just didn't. And their year is looking pretty much over at this point. Their year is pretty much over unless they just go on and win all their league matches and win the next event. And they also need to kind of bet on some of these other teams that are above them in the standings, kind of losing and kind of just falling off a little bit. They need a lot of things to go their way. I'm worried for this New York team, man. I feel like their year right now is kind of chalked up, but it's not over. It's not over until the end. It's still possible. But where would you guys have them? I'm thinking maybe top of C. You know, anywhere in C, like somewhere in C.
Bottom of C.
Bottom of C. You'd put them under London and Florida. You put them under there.
Yeah. Tom, this is the one team. They're out of gas right now. They are pushing their car to the gas station, and it literally relies on all 4 of these guys not running out of any energy or effort. Because they are literally pushing their car to the gas station. I feel like
motivation and passion is gonna affect them for sure.
Yeah, they have to be perfect. Like anything in the world goes wrong, one of them roll an ankle, pushing the car to the gas station, they're done. Like they have the lowest chance of all teams, but they're not dead because they do have the talent to do it. Yeah. Do I think they'll do it? Probably not. Is it possible? Yeah. Would I be surprised? Probably, but I think they do at least have the chance. As soon as they lose one league match, though, this team falls to D. They're dead. They're done for the year. So they're hanging on by a thread.
I agree that passion and motivation is going to kill these guys for the rest of the year. I mean, they're pretty much most likely looking at the New York major being their COD champs, being their last major. Unless some of those guys end up, like I said, getting loaned out after the New York major to some of these other teams that are in the top 8. Maybe if a team wants to change, they can. But I don't see any team, if a team qualifies for champs, I don't see any of them changing personally. So I think a lot of these this New York team, I think their year is going to be coming to an end very, very soon. Chris, what would you do? You agree with the bottom of C? Right now, the poll in the chat, I think the whole chat can agree that we all think that they should be in C. That's the majority vote. But what do you think? I would agree
just based on like their potential as a team, but like it's the same thing as Pat said, where it's like as soon as they lose a match and they have no hope, like what's the point?
Yeah. It's looking pretty chalk for them. And I feel bad for them because, I don't really feel bad for them because I don't feel bad for them because I feel bad for some of the players on the team. Like I feel bad for somebody like Paco, who's been kind of going through so many ups and downs. But listen, I'm just going to straight up say it. The roster decisions coming out of the New York Subliners camp is fucking terrible. It's just terrible.
Yeah,
their decision, that's what their decision making is just, I could have told you in the beginning of the year that the team wasn't going to work. I did tell them in the beginning of the year the team wasn't going to work. And here we are. We're debating whether they should be bottom of C or fucking in D. And it's just not looking good for them. So
the problem, Tom, that I had is they knew this team wasn't going to work so early on. And then they dropped Neptune, pick up Royalty,
too long.
brought Neptune. Yeah, they literally just like acted like they had
bringing
all
Neptune
the
back was a complete waste of time. Bringing in Royalty made no sense. I'm sorry, love Royalty.
For a major
think he's a good player and everything, but I just didn't think Royalty was just gonna come in and just.
They made a last minute decision right before the major. That was not like.
Bro, but why not pick up the players they picked up to begin with? They were scouting people. Like they didn't have a lot of time to make the decision.
Well, who are scouting? They did. I'm gonna tell you right now, they didn't have many scouts. I was asked my opinion on who, like, I thought I could bring on and give them a list of names. Kismet and Paul being among that list, and then I literally obviously gave him Royalty too because he's a good player. I think he desered the shot, but he's the one that ended up getting it. At the end of the day, hold on, like it was just a gamble on who they were gonna get. Like they had way more time when they did trials to pick a player.
Their problem wasn't that they gambled, Chris. Their problem was that they stayed 3 weeks in Vegas. Like, I don't care that they made a gambling decision. They just stayed in Vegas the whole fucking first
They were
half
gambling.
Of the league.
They got to know when to stop. They got to know when to stop.
No, you're right with that.
Yeah, no, don't gamble, kids, because you will lose your money.
This trial process thing, by the way, I hope becomes a norm and people do it sooner. You
have to do it at the right time, Chris. You have to do it right now. Like right now is a good time to trial, just because they have time to do it. It's very, very difficult when you're trying to trial in the middle of league matches and majors, and there's so much shit going on, and teams are just trying to like hope something works. They're gambling. They're just making decisions, hoping that it'll work. And listen, the decisions that New York has been making have just not been good, in my personal opinion. Let's keep them at the bottom of C.
NYSL bought Optic Coin. If you know, you know. What's the next team we got?
We got the Boston Breach, ladies and gentlemen. The Boston Breach is the next team. Listen, this team, man, is just, man, inconsistent. The sub players really can't get anything going. I feel like Cap and Nero, they've been so on and off all year, hit or miss. You never know what you're going to get out of them. I just don't think they have what it takes consistency-wise to actually win an event, to play well all weekend long. They have to play good COD Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I just don't see this team doing that. I know Zinni in the beginning of the year was dropping 1.8s, and let's be honest, that's not sustainable. I mean, I just don't see Tony. Tony wasn't going to be able to do that every series, and you can't rely on Zinni to kind of be that hard carry every single event. You can't rely on him to kind of just like go off, especially against the top teams. Some of the teams at the top, it's a team game at the end of the day. So for me, this Boston team, I'm looking to put them maybe bottom of C, around where New York is. That's where I would probably have them. But what do you guys think, Chris and Pat?
Yeah, they're like borderline in my opinion. New York has the potential to do more, and I think the only reason they're in such a shit position was because of the decisions the org made, not necessarily the team. But Boston's had plenty of time. They've had the support of the team. They haven't really developed. They've just been
they haven't changed. They haven't made any roster decisions. They haven't done anything. They're at
the bottom of C or top of D. Like you guys choose on that one because like in terms of how they've been performing.
You said top of B?
No, top of D or bottom of C. In terms of their performances recently.
I was gonna say, what kind of papaya you smoking on, Chris? Well, Pat, what do you think? Where would you put them? Because if we're leaning towards C here, where would we put them in C? And what do you think about this team?
This is how I feel about the Boston.
Go ahead, Pat. Let me hear it.
He's already dead.
Listen, bro, they're done. They're done, bro.
You are an idiot, bro.
They're
you
done.
think they're dead? You think they're dead, Pat? You think they're chalked? But Zinni texted me the other day. He said he's back on his bullshit.
Congrats to Zinni, but they're done. Like,
yeah, but dude, Zinni being the one that has to overperform and for them to be competitive, it like shouldn't be a thing, dude. Doesn't matter how good Zinni of a player is or how much he's
agreed.
how well he's
it's
playing.
Like,
that is unacceptable. Like
they can be alive if their schedule in Major 5 is like Paris, Gorillas, London, and Florida.
Yeah. No,
they could probably.
So where would you put them? Maybe I would probably put them over New York and maybe under London. Like what would you do with them? I think they have to be somewhere in the middle here and see either above London or right before London. I would definitely keep New York at the bottom. I would keep New York at the bottom of C. Their year is pretty much chalked up unless they have a perfect year. But what do you think, Pat?
The problem I have, dude, is I kind of view Boston how I view the Gorillas. Like. I think Zinni's talented, but like to me, the way he was performing was like a miracle, right? Like he was legit 1.5 backpacking his team through dubs. And ever since that's gone away, this team has been horrible. Like
no, they have. I definitely think Zinni was kind of keeping them along. He was helping them, kind of stay in the spotlight a little bit.
He was frying in a way that like we've never seen him play. Like he was probably having his best season debut ever, like of any title. And
he's considered one of like a top like 3 AR.
Yeah, he was frying, and ever since that's gone away, it just looks like this team can't win a series.
So where would you put them, Pat? Above? I personally think they have to be above New York here.
I think New York is more competitive than Boston if you want to look at it from a team perspective. But as soon as New York loses a series, like their year's over, and it doesn't even matter.
Like I feel like because New York's years is pretty much chalked up, like it makes sense to put them at the bottom.
No, I see your point. I'll let you.
But what do you think with Boston, London? Because listen, guys, London has not been good either. You know, like we could talk about London this, London that.
But London has shown potential to win.
Yeah, they've shown potential.
London's getting Gizmo back. Boston isn't getting like anything. Yeah, they're literally just in the same boat.
Well, they're not. Have you guys heard any rumors about roster changes over there? I haven't heard anything. I don't know.
I haven't heard nothing about their team.
All I know is the last time Zinni was on the flank, he was my teammates are gross. So like,
well, of course he's gonna say that.
Right, which is great, but that makes me think there's no roster changes happening in that camp. Their sub is Doug, right? So
yeah. You think they're gonna bring Doug in? Why don't they bring Doug in for a little change? You know, maybe Doug is what they need.
No offense, they're on the bottom. They're literally like they can they still potentially not make champs, or are they pretty much locked?
No, they can for sure not make it.
For sure.
Exactly.
Yeah, bro. A lot of teams.
No offense to Doug, they're not gambling that.
Chris, nobody's locked. Nobody's. The only teams locked are like FaZe Optic.
I'm saying barring some miracle, or some miraculous, unfortunate scenarios is what I meant. But yeah, you get the point. They're not bringing him Doug.
But no Doug, no dub, Chris. No Doug, no dub.
Doug, but they're not doing that. What?
You don't think so? I don't know. Maybe you might want to just whip out Dog, and there you go. All of a sudden, you might be top 3. You know what I'm saying? But I think right here is a pretty good spot. I think that looks pretty good. You guys like where I put them? You guys like where Boston's at right now?
Like I said, I'll let you have the Boston over New York just because New York is pretty much done.
Their season's over. I will agree with you, Chris, that I think New York on paper, if you're matching up these rosters, I definitely think New York might be the better team. But it's just, what does New York's the year even mean anymore? They waited too long. The team that they got right now, it just took too long to put together.
But imagine New York comes out the qualifier, goes 5-0.
They could.
Event and wins.
And the thing is, I could see New York winning an event. I can see them. I can see New York coming out and winning. The most important thing for New York right now is to focus on these league matches. They have to focus up. They have to take it one match at a time. And
because that's what will eliminate them.
Yeah, they have to do what Minnesota did and just win. They just have to win out this whole stage, which going into the New York major, it's their home major. They're gonna have the crowd on their side. Everybody's gonna be gassing up New York. It's not impossible. It's never over till it's over. So we'll see what happens with New York. We'll keep Boston there, but let's get into these last 2 teams. We got Atlanta FaZe and Optic Texas. Yes, we're gonna put both of them up in the S tier. I think we can all agree. Come on, Pat. You're gonna come on, Pat. You're not gonna put them in the S tier, Pat.
Optic deserves top of A. Listen, I was the one person who was calling Optic S tier from the beginning. You remember this? Everybody was like, "Nah,
you were calling S tier. You were.
They were S tier. But right now, I think they're top of A. Tom, I think that's back-to-back top 6 performances. That's back-to-back disappointments on LAN for this team.
But they've gone through a lot of bullshit this year, Pat, especially with the injury in Illy.
A lot of other teams.
I know.
We're not discrediting other teams, or we're taking it away from other teams, so we got to take it away from Optic. Listen, Optic's top of A tier right now. Until they get back to some dominant performances, I can't have them with my back to back grand finalist FaZe.
Where would you have him, Chris? Would you agree with Pat's take at the top of A?
Unfortunately, listen, I've had Optics back this entire time while Pat's been grossing them, and y'all can't say I haven't. I was a big pro loot stan, all that stuff. But right now, in terms of the overall grand scheme of things, they're not S tier. They have been consistently placing around the top 6. The only thing, there's been 2 consistencies in the league, and that's fucking FaZe losing grand finals and Optic placing 6th this entire year. Besides their 1 championship win when they had Illy, and they have not had Illy this entire time. So now with the current team,
they're getting him back, right?
Yeah, we actually, that's another thing that we didn't even bring up, by the way. Outside of the tier list, have we heard for anything from Optic with Illy? Have we heard anything with?
I don't know what's going on with Illy. So apparently Illy,
just hopeful.
Apparently Illy. By the way, everybody was saying no cyst. Everybody was calling me a moron. Apparently it is a cyst. Apparently he has a cyst. The good thing about it is it's not in his wrist. It's not by his tendons or anything. They're just gonna go in and drain it. That's what I'm hearing. He has a cyst in his thumb.
Tom, isn't that what happened with you?
But mine was in my wrist. So the thing with me is it was blocking my tendon. I couldn't move my thumb. I lost my range of motion. His is a little bit. It's in a different spot. But same thing. I think
yours drained, right? And then it came back.
Nah, they couldn't drain mine because it was near a major artery in my wrist. So they couldn't go in with a needle. Like Illy's, you can see his is protruding from his hand. Like you can see it. Mine was in my hand. When you looked on my wrist, you couldn't see a cyst. We didn't even know what the fuck was wrong with me at the time. We had no idea.
He played scrims today. They said Illy tweet.
What did Illy tweet? What did he tweet? Well, listen, if he's playing, I'm guessing that Illy's going to be coming back into the roster shortly. I think what they're going to do with Illy,
whatever it takes, bro. What is this?
Listen, for me,
he could tweet that before he goes in and gets his cyst drained. Like
the thing with me with Illy is I think he's going to get it drained. I think it's going to help him a little bit, but that's not going to help his case. It's going to come back after he gets it drained. And I think right now they're going to try and get it drained, try and get him back into the roster, and then at the end of the year, at the end of the season, They're gonna go in and perform surgery and maybe remove the whole thing, remove the whole sac.
Remove the whole thumb.
They call it not the thumb, the sac, the cyst.
I'm trolling.
They'll remove the whole because so it's what it is with these cysts. There's a sac.
Yeah, Nabel could do it. He can do it.
There's a point where the cyst is growing from, and you have to remove where it's growing from. You have to remove the sac or whatever I forget what they called it, but the doctor was telling me when I had problems, and they're gonna have to go in and remove the whole thing. If they don't and they keep draining it, it's just gonna keep coming back over and over again. He's gonna play for a couple weeks. Boom, his hand's gonna swell up. He's gonna get in.
I'm hoping for the best. I'm hoping the best for the guy, but hey, chat is fried. They literally said S tier with Illy. Listen, they did win an event with Illy, but they also placed top 6 with Illy. So like, y'all cannot be saying this.
Hold on, you also got to think though.
They're also 5-0 against FaZe in the head-to-head, which is why I was thinking about putting them. I wanted Optic S tier right under FaZe. That's where I wanted them.
We've already talked about head-to-heads not mattering in this shit. Like we know head-to-heads,
matchups are
like
matchups and play styles and all that stuff.
What ifs, all that shit don't matter. Like, yeah, what if Optic would have played FaZe in the grand final? Like, yeah, dude, their head-to-head shows they would have probably beat them, but they didn't fucking make it there.
Wait, the thing is too that we got to consider, like, okay, let's say he gets it drained. Let's say he comes back. There's no guarantee that he's going to play at the top of his game, right? Like when we talked about Optic in Major 1, Illy played literally some of the best COD we've ever seen him play in his whole career at that event. Like if he comes back and he's not at that level, even if he's just like okay, right? Like let's say a little bit better than Proloot, right? Like there's still no guarantee that this team is going to win the event by any means. So that's why I don't think they're an S tier team, because even with Illy coming back, I don't think it means that they're going to just win Major 4. So
I think you guys are underestimating their roster a little bit, if you want my honest opinion. I think their roster is fucking gross. I think Scum's...
Let's talk about Shotzzy. Shotzzy has not performed as well on LAN as he has online.
Maybe statistically, but I think they've also just been going through a lot of problems as a team. It's very hard for a player...
We can't use those excuses.
But no, it's not an excuse. It's just me being honest. I feel like Shotzzy, he's going to be affected the most when the team's going through these issues.
No, I mean, I agree. I agree with you. And we're looking at things from like a player perspective, and like but when we're looking at a tier list like this, most of it we're talking about results. That's all we can really put this on. Results, how teams have played.
But Optic hasn't had bad results this year. They've won a major and
by their standards,
their last 3 events are 6-6-6.
Top 6.
Wow, that
is not good for the amount of for the talent on their team, bro.
Right, but you could say that about even FaZe in the S tier. About they haven't won an event yet, right? You could say the same thing.
It doesn't matter. Second. Still,
I agree.
Grand finals. Listen, is still impressive as fuck.
I agree. Where I would have FaZe at the tippity top of S tier just because of their consistency and then being at the top. I wasn't saying put Optic over FaZe. I'm just saying I definitely think that Optic's roster is an S tier roster. I think especially
they are okay.
Especially if they bring Illy back in. Especially if they bring Illy back in.
Say this, Tom. They are an S tier roster, but they are not performing like an S tier team.
That is the way and that's fine. And that's fine. I think we can leave it here. I think we all kind of gave our thoughts and kind of gave our opinions. This will be our tier list. This is how we'll end the tier list. So we got FaZe at the top, and you guys agree that FaZe is just at the top, right? We'll talk about FaZe a little bit. I think FaZe deserves to be at the top. Just even in Vanguard, I think it's impressive to see their consistency, like to see how consistent they are with a game like this and with competition like this. The fact that they're always just competing for a trophy, I think says a lot about them, and they've been doing it consistently now for a few 2-3 years now. So just to see them constantly at the top over and over and over again, I definitely want to keep FaZe in the S tier. My only argument maybe would have been having Optic in S tier under FaZe, but whatever. You guys gave your points, you guys gave your opinions. Chat, where would you put Optic? Did we do a poll? On where the chat would want them?
Optic would have put the chat would have put Optic above FaZe in the S tier.
Yeah, well, we don't have to listen to the chat. We don't have to listen to. No, a lot of people in the chat were agreeing with you guys
because matchups. Like,
but listen, a lot of people in the chat were agreeing with you guys on the A tier. I mean, they weren't disagreeing. And even seeing the chat now erupting, it seems like a lot of people have them A, a few people have them C or S. Excuse me.
C.
S. Excuse me. Yes, S tier. But yeah, we can leave it there. I think this is gonna be our final tier list. What do you guys think about the overall tier list? 1 out of 10, 1 through 10. 10 being the best, 1 being fucking shit. What would you guys in the chat give our tier list here on the flank? What would you give it? Well, they're all.
Bro, when I look at it, I
you like
think
it, Pat?
Good
you like it?
Because the way I look at this is like S and A are the people that are contending for championships, right?
Yep.
B is like the team that, given, you know, if they have a stellar day, they could be in that conversation possibly. And then C is like, they need a miracle to be in that conversation. And then D is just chalked. You're not in that conversation. You never will be in that conversation. We'll see you next year.
I don't mind the list. I don't mind it at all. I know that some other people have done lists. I know Enable has done a list. What did Enable have? Let me pull it up real quick. Let me see what his list. What was on his list? But I know Ian had FaZe Optic at the top 2. They had FaZe and then Optic at number 2. So Ian had FaZe Optic S tier, Seattle, Toronto A tier. He had in B, LA Thieves, New York, Minnesota, Florida, all in that order. So he had LA Thieves at the top of B.
He had New York and B?
He had New York and B. Second of B, he had New York.
Jesus.
And then he had LAG, London, and Boston in the C tier in that order. He had LAG at the top of C over London and Boston. And then he had Paris in the D tier.
That is super fried.
You think he's doing
right? LAG not the top of C,
bro. He was cooked for some of those.
Come on, man.
Yeah, but that's gonna do it for our tier list. I think we did a pretty good job. Let's look at the Call of Duty standings real quick and take a look at.
Let's compare this Call of Duty standings to the tier list. By the way,
well, we're gonna be off a little bit because of like LAG and
Boston. Yeah, I know. I just want to compare it.
They don't got a dark mode on the Call League website, so put your sunglasses on. Let's switch on over. But let's take a look. We got FaZe number 1 at the FaZe. Bro, FaZe got a pretty little bump now in that number 1 spot.
Hey, I've been trying to tell you.
They got a good little bump. They got a good little bump up there now. So FaZe is looking good. Optic, they're right there with them in second. Then you got Seattle, London, Toronto coming in at 3, 4th, and 5th. So we had 3 and 4th at Seattle and Toronto. I definitely think London's start of the year helped them a little bit with their standings. It gave them a little bit of a cushion.
Wait, do you get 10 points per win in a qualifier match?
10 points per win during the league matches.
Yeah, see, that's what's crazy. Like Florida, Rokkr, and Thieves could all just overtake Gorillas this stage. Like, it wouldn't be surprised me if Gorillas go like 1.
Look how close it is. I mean, even looking at like
same with Boston.
Even looking at London in 4th, right? You could look at Minnesota, who's in like 9th. They're only a few matches off away. Like if London continues to struggle and Minnesota continues to do their thing, London's gonna fall down. They're gonna fall down. And look at London or look at Minnesota Rokkr and the LA Thieves. They're only 10 points away. That 8th spot is gonna be a grueler. One of these teams is gonna place 9th. One of them. What team do you see finishing off 9th place? Who do you think's gonna? I think Paris, New York, and Florida are all gonna end up bottom 4. I just think they are. Florida can make a run too, man. They can. It depends on how their substitute does, or no substitute, or whatever.
They have to find consistency.
They have to find consistency.
They have been consistently the gatekeepers of mid for a long time, and like I think that's where they're going to stay unless we get some serious intel about their 4th and it transforms their team because they have the talent, bro. They got Caesar, Skies, and Awakening, absolute demons. Vivid, I think, is a good piece. Their 4th has just been abysmal in the statistical category.
I can see Boston falling under. Go ahead.
Yeah,
go ahead,
Pat.
Pat.
That doesn't qualify is Boston, Gorillas, New York, Paris.
Boston, Gorillas, New York, Paris.
We got to start looking at these schedules, Tom, because some of these matches are going to be against they're must-win matches.
These next few weeks, chat, when we start this next stage, is going to be insane. Every match matters.
Also think about how big of a role Paris is actually going to play in this stage. Like, if they can come out and beat like teams that play Paris and need guaranteed wins, like Paris could honestly cause, if not the biggest upsets in this
Donnie
stage.
Can cause hell, bro.
Bro, yeah, like they could literally come through and like knock out, Gorillas if they beat them in a series.
Like, they're going to be playing with nothing to lose.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and the other team is literally must-win series against Paris. Like anyone playing Paris right now, if you lose to Paris, you're fucking yourself so hard.
Optic have a really good map win percentage. They have 78.3%, 62 and 28. Not bad. They have a pretty.
That's just what happens when you don't play a lot of matches. Hold on, does
this count online or LAN or both?
I
think it's everything. It's everything. This is league matches. This is LAN matches. I mean, you get points from LAN. You get points from league matches. I mean, that's how you grow. I
was gonna say because I wanted to know because if it was purely online, like the differential would actually kind of stand out to me. But if it's a grouping of everything, you can't really read too much.
But I agree, Pat. I could see Rokkr and Thieves kicking up and maybe LAG and Boston falling off a bit. But what's
we
up,
gotta talk about Boston's schedule, bro. This is a grueler.
Wait, what is their schedule?
Boston plays Texas, Thieves, Seattle, Gorillas, and then Ultra. That's their schedule.
Whoa.
They have
every I feel like a lot of teams that are like on on kind of like that edge, right, of getting top 8 are gonna have hard teams in their schedule.
No, wait,
bro,
no,
that is the only S and A
gauntlet.
Yeah, they're playing Optic. They're playing the champs. They're playing Toronto, who's top 4.
Yeah.
They're playing 3 of the top 4 teams. I mean, it's definitely a tough schedule for sure.
Who are good, like.
Jesus Christ!
And they're playing
bro.
Gorillas, who needs a win just as bad as they do. So that is that is the hardest schedule I think I've seen.
Yeah,
like,
no, that's gonna be tough for them.
Events, yeah,
I'm excited. Are you guys excited, chat? You guys excited for this next stage? We're going into the last stage of the season. Then we got champs. I'm hyped up for this shit.
Yeah, this actually stage is going to be really important. Like I know we like to talk about league matches being fucking boring and stuff like that. And there might be some washes and stuff like that, but like. These matches, as like the story develops for some of these teams, these matches hurt when if they lose them.
What's the NYSL schedule, Pat?
So they're kind of fucked too. They have the Mutineers, the Gorillas. That's like their 2 easy games.
Yeah,
and then they have Surge, Texas, and LA Thieves.
Damn. Okay, so they have a hard schedule too. They might be chickeny chalked, bro. They're fucked. They might be fucked.
Oh, so Paris basically plays no team that needs a win bad. Paris plays like all the top teams too. They play Seattle, they play Texas, they play Thieves.
Where they're chalked. They've been chalked.
Right. But I'm saying they're not giving free wins away to all the teams that need one. Like, they play Rokkr. Where's the last team? And Paris. They play Rokkr and Thieves. The last 2, and Mutineers. So like. The only real people who need a win out of that really is Mutineers and I guess Thieves, but they don't give like those teams that are like really, really fighting for a win one. So
yeah, we can take a look at the schedule a little bit. I mean, the next set of matches we'll be seeing June 24th is when we'll be seeing matches come back to life. We're gonna kick things off with Florida versus New York, Optic versus Boston. We got Toronto going up against LAG. We got Toronto going up against London, and New York going up against LAG. So a lot of important matches, man. These are going to be close.
Friday's first match is like the best match of the entire of all Friday, bro. Like the first match, and then the rest of them are just Yeah.
I'm excited, man. Super excited to get all these matches. We'll definitely be doing some watch parties. And then a little update for you guys. I am working on trying to get us a couch at the New York Major. If we do get it all set up, I would definitely love to fly out Chris and Pat to join me. And maybe we'll do watch parties and flanks live from the venue. That's the goal right now. The goal is to get a desk and a couch and everything set up from the venue. We just need to figure out everything. We need to figure out the setup. We need to make sure there's room to do it. If we can't figure it out, then we're not doing it. We're just going to stay home and we're going to keep doing what we're doing.
Lurch in the chat.
Lurch? Why Lurch? Why not Lurch?
Because if it doesn't work out, it's a Lurch in the chat.
Okay, if it doesn't work 100%. Out, it's a Lurch. I'm down for that. If it doesn't work out, it's on Gersh. It's his fault. Speaking of Gersh, shout out to him, man. Best social media manager in the biz. It's not even close. The guy's the best in the business. Shout out to my man Gersh. But would love, I think during the week, I'm going to hop on some calls with some of the New York guys and some of the FaZe guys and try and figure something out and see if we can get that all going. And then champs. I don't know what's going on for champs. I don't know if you guys have heard rumors. I heard rumors of it being in LA. I know people have said on stream that it's in Vegas. I have no idea. Regardless, wherever it is, we'll try and do something over there as well. At the majors, I want to switch things up, man. A lot of people really like the vibe of us on the couch, kind of more of a podcast feel. As IRL was a lot more calm, and we were just kind of vibing and talking. And we'd love to have Chris and Pat join us at the majors and some of these big events. So we'll see how it is, man. At these events, I want to change up the vibe a little bit. We're always going over gameplay. We're always like analyzing and watching all these league matches and doing everything. I want to change up the vibe from time to time. So. I'm glad you guys enjoyed the last episode on Sunday night. And huge shout out again to Donnie Asom, Attach, and Censored Doug for coming through and hopping on, because it was midnight when they pulled up. Some of these matches, the schedule has not been kind to us this year. It has not. The time zones and the scheduling has been all over the place. So excited, man. Excited for the rest of these matches. I hope you guys did enjoy today's episode of The Flank. I hope you guys enjoyed the tier list. I hope you guys enjoyed our thoughts on the roster changes and the trials and all that shit. If anything happens during the week, man, if any like crazy shit happens, I'm down to hop on and do some emergency flanks. If you're down, Pat and Chris, you guys are down. If there's ever like some roster changes or any shit hitting the fan, I'm not really too sure if any of that's gonna happen. But if it does, I'm down to hop on and you know, get some episodes during the week. Of course, if there's anything we can talk about, we'll always go live and talk about it. That's what the Flank's all about. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, anchor.fm/theflank, to check out all the audio sites that we're on, and go to @theflank on Twitter. Gert's doing a phenomenal job running socials, and please make sure to go subscribe to the YouTube channel. I noticed that a lot of people who are tuning into the videos are not subscribed. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. Hit that sub button. It'll mean a lot to me and the whole team. And thank you guys so much for watching, man. As always, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. Take care, brush your hair, and we'll see you guys next time on another episode of The Flank, man. Have a good one. Peace out.